Okay, in the event, call the meeting to order, in the event of an emergency, stairway to that side, to the rear parking lot. Huh?
Is your microphone on?
It is now.
Green light?
Green light.
Awesome.
Thanks, Chris. Stairway to my right, emergency exit or straight down the hallway. Can we please rise for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. We'll start on my right tonight with introductions, please.
Hello and welcome, everybody. PJ Shanley.
Good evening, Judy Smith.
Ann Denny, Secretary to the Board.
Owen Weaver, Town Council.
John Carangelo, good evening.
Bill Kraut. Mitch Goldblatt, good evening.
Okay, everybody knows who they are. Very good. Is there a motion to close the regular meeting and convene the public hearing? Motion's made and seconded. All in favor? Okay, it's a public hearing for amending the code of the Town of Orange, Chapter 302, peddling and solicitation. And is there a call on this one? If not, we'll move forward with it.
Town of Orange, notice of public hearing, amending section of code. Notice is hereby given to the legal voters and those persons qualified to vote in town meetings of the Town of Orange, that in accordance with section 3.4 of the Charter of the Town of Orange, the Board of Selectmen of the said town will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, July 8th, 2026 at 7 p.m. in the lower level meeting room of the Orange Town Hall, 617 Orange Center Road, Orange, Connecticut, to consider amending the code of the Town of Orange, Chapter 302, peddling and soliciting. Notice of public hearing on the amendment of Chapter 302, peddling and solicitation, dated at Orange, Connecticut, on this 15th day of June, 2026, Town of Orange, Board of Selectmen, by James M. Zioli, First Selectman, attest Mary Shaw, Town Clerk.
Very good. We had discussion on this a little bit last month. And this item was drafted by Attorney Weaver, and I think it's a good update. I've been listening to Frank Esposito on this for probably 5 years. I think he's in the room tonight. Yeah, he's in the room tonight, which is great. And so I'm going to start with comments from the audience.
Jim, you got a
regarding-
motion to go into public hearing.
We did.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. So, yes, sir.
Good start.
You have to, and you have to come up front, I think most of you know, and name and address.
After 5 years, I know the drill. Frank Esposito, 29 Andrew Lane, Orange. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for their due diligence on this matter. Yes, Jim, you've listened to me probably longer than 5 years. Mitch as well, and Max Martins. I'm kind of very familiar with the changes, and the only caveat I would like to be addressed at some point, whether it's in the ordinance or not, or maybe a later addition, is I think with technology the way it is today, any of these folks that want to come into town and solicit, the town resident should have the opportunity, based on the computers, to say whether or not they want someone knocking on their door. It can be color-coded, green or red, right? Traffic, green light go, red light no. So you're on Andrew Lane, you got 17 houses, solicitor wants to come on Andrew Lane, and he says, hey, I got 3 people that'll listen to me if I knock on their door. Then that helps them, because they don't have to waste their time knocking on 17 other doors that don't want to hear from them, right? And I don't know, it might sound easier said than done. And I also think I'm fully confident in the police department. You know, these people register, they line on, they should be vetted. We should know who's knocking on our door, their criminal histories. I know that I had a chance to share with Jim, Mitch, and even John Carangelo at an event where I had someone come to my home. I check everybody as diligently as I can. I use the judicial website for criminal lookup. I had someone come to the home. They were fine. I recommended them to other people. They were great. I needed work done, couldn't get anybody else. These folks were out of Brookfield. My son recommended, Dad, why don't you call these people, have them come back? I did. To do that, it was 2 years later. I looked them up again, and I couldn't get them back because my research revealed that 4 out of the 5 men were arrested in Brookfield for child trafficking. Okay? And you pull up their mugshots, 4 out of those 5 were at my house. If I had known that, it would have been a totally different outcome. And in today's, Bob Gagne's in the audience, as the chief of police, we came on together. A lot has changed with technology and looking things up. And I just think that that should be part of the process. And again, thank every one of you, especially you. I know you put a lot of work. And thanks, Mitch and Jim, thanks for hearing me. I appreciate it.
Okay. Anybody else on this one? Yes.
Mary Hurley, 1050 Garden Road in Orange. We are here to also discuss the flock system being implemented in town.
No, right now, we're discussing this one. Right now, this is a public hearing for the solicitation part in the ordinance.
I apologize.
That's all right. You'll get your chance. That's next, one of the other ones coming up. Is there anybody else? This is for the solicitation, which means the door knockers, whether it be solar or silverware or pots and pans or who knows what.
Good evening, everyone. Debbie Esposito, 118 Kennedy Drive, Orange. No relation to the nice gentleman who was here before, but I have a question, and forgive me if this was already addressed. Solicitation, does that have anything to do with door knocking on the campaign trail?
No. And we made Selectman Goldblatt requested a revision that political activity be included, which we made, so it does
So we
not
can
apply.
continue to
Correct.
advertise. Thank you, that was my question.
All right. Frank, she doesn't know about your pizzas yet. You got the same name. She doesn't know about your pizzas yet, Frank. Is there anybody else here for solicitation hearing?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, again, Mary Hurley, 1030 Garden Road, Orange. Is it true that the police are going to start implementing a paid permit policy to let people knock door to door?
I can't answer that. I don't know if that's,
There's a fee involved, and there's always been a fee involved. The proposed amendments increased the fee from $25 to $200.
Okay,
yes.
and how are residents supposed to know that these people have paid this fee and are legitimate solicitors?
Yeah, you'd have to communicate with the police department. They're in charge of the program, so
somebody's
to speak.
supposed to go to the PD, register. I don't know if they badge them or if they just card them, chief, or how they manage it down there, but they do check in with the police department.
Okay, because
We're
I've had a
supposed to.
number of solicitors who have had I tell them you need to go to the police, and they have a blank look in their face. They have
Yeah.
no idea what I'm talking about.
Say thank you.
And I've actually had to call the police and say, hey, someone's soliciting in our community. I don't think they're permitted.
Certified, yeah.
Yeah,
That's the right
Okay.
action to take.
thank you.
Yes.
I am George Ekman, 365 Demarest Drive in Orange. Just a quick question. Does the solicitation include panhandlers, like when you try to leave?
Like
you know,
on the,
some of
like on the street?
Some of the stores, and, you know, they're soliciting you in the car for money?
No, it applies to public properties or public ways, so if they're on private property, like at Target or something, this ordinance would not apply.
How about if they were like, I mostly see them in Milford, not Orange, or down by the boulevard where they're standing at the intersections with a cardboard sign, you know?
I mean, I'm sorry, this applies to someone who's hawking or peddling goods.
At a private.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I guess if you're talking about someone who's like grown flowers and they're trying to sell, well, that's a bad example because that's
Right.
exempt, but, yeah, but, generally speaking, if someone's trying to sell something as opposed to soliciting like a donation, that this ordinance applies.
Then I
Years
suppose the next
ago,
question
years
is,
ago, you just had the Cub Scouts came with their Tom Watt suitcase to sell you something, but nowadays it's
solar people all
solar
over
or
the
something
place.
else, yeah.
so I guess my next question is, should it include panhandlers? You know, like every time you want to
At the
leave
main
Trader
roads.
Joe's, you got the people there and.
I wave,
What's that?
I wave.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I do too, but
I
it's just.
don't know if that's the same in this.
Yeah, it's kind of a different category, so.
We'll look into it though
Okay.
for the future, yeah. Is there anybody else on this hearing? Seeing none there at the table. Who wants to start? Mitch?
I mean,
Either one of you.
I just want to mention, in addition to what we received last time, we had quite a bit of discussion, and I appreciate Owen taking our recommendations and putting them into the ordinance so we could see it updated. There's also a discussion, Owen, maybe you can tell us what this is about. There was discussion later, and I see this addressed to us and the chief of police, about the no solicitors, kind of like what Frank was referring to, and having a no solicitation list.
Yeah, yeah,
So
happy to
can you address
that.
how that can be incorporated? That was not part of the original discussion we had last time. Can you help us understand how we can, if we decide we want to, make that part of this ordinance? And since this is part of the public hearing, I'd like to put on the record your letter into the record so that it's in the record about no solicitation, and have a discussion about that as well.
Yeah, happy to comment on that.
Thank
So
you.
after last meeting, I had some conversations with the chief, and he asked me to see if a no solicitation list provision was possible. I looked into it. It is in fact possible, and I've prepared a draft additional section to the ordinance entitled No Solicitation List. I'm not going to read it in full now, but the gist is if this board is inclined to add it to the ordinance, you could create a program where residents can register their home with the police department as a no solicitation property, and you have to fill out certain information and put that on file with the police. The police will maintain the file, and then solicitors will have access to that so they know what properties not to go to. There's actually been case law all the way up to the United States Supreme Court that affirmed this type of provision, so it's legal. And if this board is inclined to do that, you can make a motion to adopt the ordinance as amended pursuant to the memo that I provided to the board.
Thank you.
Does it matter how that is kept? Mr. Esposito referred to a computer system of tracking it, or paper, or a notebook, or however the police would decide to do that would be up to them.
Well, the way I wrote it is we'll have to generate a no solicitation registration form that'll be kept. Actually, I wrote it in the office of the first selectman, so it'd be your responsibility. But you could amend that for the police department if you so choose. And the form would be filled out by the property owner and kept on file, and it would need to be updated on occasion so that, that's fair to both the property owners and the solicitors, so they know what properties to go to and what not to. So, at the moment, it'd be a hard copy. Whether or not you could
Okay.
upload it to the website, I'll leave that to IT. So.
Okay, yeah, that's a good place to put it. But yeah. Oh, Mitch had,
Well,
you two were
because
bouncing before.
Owen and I
so-
talked about it. I think this is very important. I think if people want their privacy, they should be entitled to have it.
I agree. 10 to 10:30 was what you
Yeah,
recommended.
10.
Russ?
I'd rather go 10 to 10:15 at this point.
Is there anybody else at the table has thoughts on this?
I just want to follow up to something that Owen just mentioned. And the chief's in the room, I like what Owen's put together as far as no solicitation. I think it works for what we would want to add to this already amended amendment. But is it appropriate to go to the police department or the first selectman's office? I guess is the only question I would have. I mean, who wants to keep the file on it? I would think the police, because they're the ones going to enforce it, but I don't know. I'm looking at both of you. You're both, nobody's jumping up and down.
If it came to our office, the first selectman's office, it would be incumbent upon the admin to make sure that it made it to the police department
Right.
to,
It just adds a layer if
to
it
handle.
goes through
Right,
Jim's
so I'll
office.
just go straight to the police department.
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Just have to go to the police department.
It's up to your guys' discretion. I mean, the chief was probably the last one to talk to me, which is why it ended up with the first selectman's office. But
explains a lot.
Well, the bottom
Okay,
line is,
so-
it's ultimately up to the solicitor to review it. So I had thought about this because when I started as a financial advisor, I was on the phone all the time, and we had to check the do not call list. And that was incumbent upon me to have to do that. So if these people are going door to door, they should be checking every house before they go there,
Okay.
very simply.
And it's possible that they could go to the police department would say, you know, what area are you gonna be knocking it? And, I see several people here in one of the easy areas, and I see some of the residents of Fieldstone Village here. They could say, well, we're going to Fieldstone Village. Well, it would be easy because that's kind of a block all by itself. But if they're gonna be in town, you have to come up front. If they're gonna be going around town, you have to say, I'm gonna be doing Narrow, Miles, Knight, Hotchkiss kind of area. And then they say, well, here's the papers for that, for the do not contact people.
Gotcha.
Comment?
Hi, it's me again, Frank, 29 Andrew Lane. Just my little 2 cents on that, having been a retired Orange police officer and having responded to those calls. Since they solicit well, not 24/7, but since they solicit 7 days a week and the town hall's closed, if the police department wanted to verify any information, they might not be able to get to this town hall office. It should go directly to the police department, because the cop on the street's gonna be the one handling it.
Okay, good point.
Because I could tell you right now, you know, from myself, you come to my house, you violate it, you're going away in handcuffs. You know, you might think differently, I respect you, but if it's posted the way it's posted at my house, clearly the trespassing law is gonna prevail. Not simple trespass, 53A 110. I want you out in handcuffs. So he can't enforce that, if he's off. You're off, but you're 24/7. So that's how it should be handled. Thank
No
you.
pizza for them.
Oh, actually, I did give him
Just so the record's clear for the public, it would require a posting of a no solicitation sign at the property as well. So you'd have to complete the form, have it on file with the town, and post a no solicitation sign at your property.
Okay. Anybody else at the table? Anybody else in the audience? Any thoughts, comments beyond what we already heard?
How long does the permit last?
1 year.
I support an upgrade in this personally. I think it's a good thing. Anybody else? Hearing none, is there a motion to close the public hearing on this?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion is made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so then, now the next is to take a vote on amending the code of the Town of Orange Chapter 302, peddling and solicitation, with the revisions as made.
As further revised in town council's memo of 6/25/26.
So I'll make a motion to approve the amendment as provided by council and the additional amendment as discussed before the board.
And the comments relative to the police.
And the
versus-
comments relative to
versus
the
first
police.
selectman's office.
Okay,
Sorry for the complex.
it's all right.
Nope.
So to clarify the motion, it's gonna, that last piece is gonna be registering with the police department, not the first.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? $6,000 for printing. All in favor?
Aye.
Good. Okay. Public participation. Public participation is for any item that is not an agenda item, may allow 2 minutes per speaker. Anybody in the audience with a public participation item? Yes, sir. Huh? If it's not an agenda item, you can come up and speak to something for 2 minutes.
All right,
Approximately.
try to make it fast.
No, you have 2 minutes. You'd be surprised how long that is.
Hi, Mac Ladd, 277 Earl Road. As many of you know, I was born and raised here in Orange, Connecticut. Family moved here from West Haven in 1997, search for better educational opportunities. Same priorities drawn many town people over the years. Originally from Egypt, my family immigrated residents, sorry,
All right,
for
slow
years. I've admired the dedication of public servants like Mr. Zioli and public servants, who has worked to preserve the traditional values of its agricultural heritage and its strong sense of community. The spirit of stewardship still remains vital today. And that's what I'm saying. Thank you.
down. Thank you. Okay, that's good. And he is a proud member of the recycling committee. Yes, he is. Okay, is there anybody else? Yeah. Now, it's still not time for flock.
Oh, that
That-
is on the agenda.
Let's
Yes.
see, I'm gonna look it up, Mary, right now. That's quite all right. It will be the last item, it will be item number 6. Okay, and we also have that noted, just so you know, for executive session, in the event that something comes up that the board would need to discuss that could be sensitive thing. So the other camera's that? Yeah. Oh, okay, I'm wrong, sort of. Anybody at the table, public participation? Mitchell?
Yep. First of all, I'd like to congratulate and thank the America 250 Committee of Dominic Lombardi and Ann Denny for an absolute fabulous 3rd of July Independence Day celebration. The band was great, the fireworks were great, temperature's a little bit hot, but otherwise, the presentation of everything else was well done, and the people I was with were very impressed, and wanted to publicly thank them for the work they did on that evening, which was great. And then quickly, for those that are listening, October 24th will be our next shredding day. And as a precursor, I've spoken to Jim slightly about this, or briefly about this. We're hoping, the recycling committee is hoping that the town will look at recycling of cylinders and tires, which are now, the ability to do those at a transfer station. The recycling committee's been looking into those, and hopefully we can come up with some sort of proposal in the near future, just to give people an idea of things that, more things that can be recycled based on action of the state legislature in the recent past. Thank you.
Is there anybody else? I have a few things, and to go hand in hand with our event the other night, yes, and people have no idea how many things Ann really did with that, all those signs for sponsorships and everything, and she worked out a deal with Staples, and she was back and forth and getting signs and banners, and they didn't put grommets back and forth. She was there on Thursday to set stuff up. She was there Friday. Even I had to go sit in the car in the air conditioning for a while. It was 103, and even I got woozy. I guess I'm not as young as I used to be. It was cooking everybody out there. It was rather difficult. But I would like to take the opportunity to reflect and recognize the citizens and residents and veterans from 1776. Back then, the town comprised a handful of farms and a few hundred men, women, and children. Now, we had men fight for our independence, but people forget at the same time some fathers, sons, brothers, uncles, nephews, cousins, it was men that were going to war at that time. And we had women and children who kept those farms operating, and they were working 7 days a week, 365 days a year, taking care of those farms. And we need to you have to commend whole families when you think about that from Revolutionary War time. And we all really need to salute all of their efforts. While ordinary people took up the cause, we were blessed to have visionaries creating the timeless Declaration, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights. And today I'm proud to be carrying on the duty and responsibility of keeping our democracy alive and flourishing and strong here. And I hope everybody will please join in that event, noble event. Thank you. That's just my thoughts on 1776 and the revolution in our country. Announcements. First off, we have 2 employees with many years of service. Brent Nielsen from Public Works has now completed his tour of duty, I'm going to call it, and has retired from Public Works. Brent started with us many years ago working in the Park and Recreation grounds crew and left, and then came back and went on Public Works, and he's now chosen to enjoy retirement and his family and his grandchildren, and so congratulations to Brent. And today was a get-together for Dennis Anderson. He's been with our department how many years, Chief?
Over 32 years.
Over 32 years, and Dennis is done the end of this month, I believe. And,
He was done today.
oh, today was the day?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was going to the end of the month. Okay. So, I mean, the longtime serving employees of the town of Orange, and I commend both of them for all they've done. And many of you knew Fred Turner. Fred Turner was very involved here in town for years with the Lions Club and the antique cars and a lot of things, and Fred passed about a week and a half ago now. He was living in Danbury. He and Lee are both down there in a care facility down there. And on Thursday, just passed, John Cowell passed away. So I had to look up John Cowell. Many of you may not know John, but he started by teaching school. He's from the Valley, from Ansonia, and he started in Ansonia from 64 to 67. And then Miss Berger hired him, and he went to Turkey Hill School, was a new school up there, then to Peck Place, and then he became the principal in Mary L. Tracy from 70 to 79, Racebrook School from 80 to 83. Then he went back to Peck Place School as principal from 83 to 89. And he was principal and director of curriculum at Mary L. Tracy, and he served as superintendent of schools here in Orange from 94 until his retirement in 2001. John was really a great guy. He was a great friend to me. Our thoughts are with him and his family. But he was really he was old school Orange education. He basically ran his whole career here, and he did the whole gamut of positions. He was outstanding. He would know every child in his school's name by the afternoon of the first day of school. He was absolutely amazing, and he was an excellent educator. So our thoughts are with the Cowell family at this time. He was living in Georgia, just so everybody knows. I already said thank you to all the departments. If I start naming the departments, I might miss somebody, but the fire department, sir, the police, Park and Rec, Public Works, I don't know. I know there's others that just worked with it, and of course, Ann and Dominic were instrumental going back and forth with this. And thank you to all of them for that. It made a great event. People came in a little bit later. It was just so hot that usually we start getting inundated 3:30, 4 o'clock, and it really held off till more like 6, but we were there, we were filled, and and the Orange Crushers, the Little League team, which does the parking. Without them, it would be mayhem. And that $5 you pay, or are supposed to pay, to park your car on the grounds, more than half of that money goes to the Crushers for that particular baseball team. Each year, it's a new group, to Cooperstown, to play up there. And so if you wonder where that money goes, it goes to the Orange Crushers Little League team. And thank you to them and the moms and dads and brothers and sisters that helped with that. But they did a great job. And the food trucks, every food truck, when I went to collect the rent, how'd you do? It was great. This was a great event. We had a great time. And I mean, some of those food trucks were 100+ degrees. So really, some people were away. They're at the Cape or something. They may have missed it. But for those of us who were here, had a great time. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Please be patient. The Board of Selectmen just approved the new recycling company at the June meeting. The very first week of July is the week with a holiday in it. Some streets were missed, some areas were missed. They'll get it straightened out, but boy, the phone calls and thoughts on it are unbelievable. Not a lot of patience with some. And there's things in life that are far more important than worrying about your recycle.
Jim, can I add to that?
Go
I
ahead.
think we should recommend that people put their recycling out the night before, because they're coming earlier than we were used to, so.
And some people weren't picked up because they are checking since they're a new company. And some that weren't picked up had garbage in their bins as well as recyclables.
Okay.
And if they check and there's garbage in the bin, your bin is gonna stay in your driveway. They're not picking it up, so don't put garbage in the bins.
Garbage includes plastic bags.
Garbage includes plastic bags.
Jim, I would just add to that and what PJ just said, you know, put it out the night before, because the schedule may not be the same as the other vendors, so you're used to getting it picked up afternoon, it may not be afternoon. And because, and Jim and I have discussed this as well, because the new vendor is picking them up by hand, kind of the old-fashioned way,
Well, they are getting
they're able to look
truck,
into,
but-
they're able to look into the bins more so than when the arm was just
Wow.
picking them up, they couldn't necessarily see them. So if people are misusing and contaminating the recyclables, they will not get picked up.
Correct. Okay, tomorrow's Thursday, and it is the third farmer's market of the season, run by the OEDC. It's down at the Pavilion, and it starts at 3:30 to 7 each Thursday. It obviously won't be there the week of the carnival, but that's on for tomorrow afternoon. The Orange Volunteer Firemen's Association Carnival, Thursday the 30th, Friday the 31st, August 1st, and August 2nd. It runs from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. on Thursday and Friday, 3 to 11 p.m. with fireworks on Saturday, and 12 to 5 p.m. on Sunday, August 2nd. That's when they do the raffle. Raffle tickets are available here at the town hall and various other locations around town, but are they in the clerk's office and your office? So they're available in the town clerk's office and the first selectman's office if you want raffle tickets in advance. And many, many young parents, you forget or just procrastinate for the wristbands for your children for the unlimited rides and all. You have to go to the OVFD website, which is orangevfd.org, to order those wristbands. They are well worth it. Take the time to buy them in advance. You can't buy them there. So you have to order them in advance, and that stops usually a few days before the carnival so that they can get it all organized when people to come pick them up. orangevfd.org if you need to order the wristbands for your children. My last thing is a pet peeve that I spoke to last month, and I'm going to speak to it again this month. Parents that are buying their children the powered skateboards, powered bicycles, powered ones that look like motorcycles, or I even saw a Segway at Lambert and Old Tavern the other day. Haven't seen one of those in a long time. Parents, you can't put a 12-year-old on one of those things out on the roads and just presume they're going to be safe because you bought them a helmet. We had a young man got hit the other day down on the Post Road. Fortunately, it didn't end in a complete tragedy, but he blew the stoplight and a car hit him. I was sitting at the traffic light at Orange Center and Route 34 the other day. Light was very green for me. Car on the other side started to come across and just bumped a kid on a scooter that was going up 34 headed towards Derby there. It bumped them around and knocked them over, but they seem to be all right. Parents, you got to give your kids some road training if you're going to put them on those bicycles and other powered devices out on the public roads. We're going to have tragedy if this keeps going. I think probably there have been some tragedies, but the children do not know the rules of the road. They don't stop at stop signs or stop lights. Please, let's think about it before you send them out. Put them in the parking lot, teach them a little bit, and those things move. Some of those bicycles, they really zip along. And we don't need any tragedies with people on the road. We just don't. So that's it for that. Thank you. And I'll probably say it again next month. Minutes. To consider and act on the minutes of the June 10th, 2026, public hearing and regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen. Any errors, omissions, or corrections? If so, please state page and paragraph.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded and thirded. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Thank you. What's this one? This is, I don't have one, do I? Well, the first one is for, the first one is for the Consider an act on the request to conduct the 29th Annual Chili Chili Run. Linda Cohen, that I knew you were here.
Hello, I'm Linda Cohen, treasurer of the Amity Teen Center, doing business as 10 Selden. And we're very excited that we're conducting our 29th annual Chili Chili Run, January 1st, it's New Year's Day, in Orange. So, here's my letter. So it benefit, the proceeds benefit the Amity Teen Center, and the Chili Run is at High Plains Community Center, and it's January 1st, so it's cold, we hope, not too cold.
Sometimes.
So that's the only thing that's outside is running, and then inside we have a chili brunch donated by restaurants in Orange, and a lot of it's done in-house in the kitchen, and we have some excellent servers, including for Selectmen. So we hope you'll join us again.
I will. It's always fun to feel like Lucy in the candy shop.
And are there any questions?
So they're asking to waive the fees as we have in the past and open up the building on New Year's Day morning, which has not been a problem in the past, and it goes to a very good cause, a great cause, and I support it 110%.
Thank you. And then we pay the custodial costs.
A little bit, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay, now the one I found. So we have an email request for conduct a block party on Demarest Drive. I have 3 Demarest Drive residents sitting in the second row. And any questions for them? Would you like to tell about it? It's just a get-together of your neighborhood.
First time.
That's it. Ann, can I have the water, please? I don't know. I think I'm.
A lot of people
Okay.
cut through on the way to the dump.
Yeah.
Rachel Wardine, 364 Demarest Drive. We have a lot of traffic on Saturdays because of the dump, and so we're trying this party for the first time. It'll involve several houses. I assume kids will go back to change their clothes and go to the bathroom at their own houses, and I would like to try to minimize, if we can, the traffic on the road that day with a, local traffic only sign or something to cut down on that dump traffic.
They can sawhorse it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Transfer station traffic.
We know what you mean. Any questions? If not, is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Yeah, we can. We're gonna move item number 3 further down so that we can clean up these couple other things before it. Item number 4 is an act to, act on the proposed donation. These are 2 different parcels. One is 990 Orange Center Road, which is, let's see, Jane Opper, the house next to her. I think it's next to that house before you get to, what was, Joe Delacroce's house. There's a piece of land in there that was owned by the family. That was a building lot. They chose not to build on it over time, and now they've decided to donate it. The mother has passed, Mrs. DeCibio, who owned it, was Joe's sister, and they would like to just donate it to the town so that it's not developed and it stays as a piece of habitat ground. And the second one is on Diana Street. It's on the Paper Road part where we own a bunch of these little sliver lots. It's not accessible. There isn't actually a road there. It's only on the map. And that one also is in a state situation, and the family chose to donate that to the town, which is kind of a good one because we own a block of these little parcels. This was part of Paramount Park, which, or Tyler City. It's had 2 names over its 100 years of existence. And they were given away in New Haven. When you'd made certain purchases, you got a lot in the country. Some of them were 20 by 40 or 20 by 80, and some were 40 by 80. And most of them were never developed. Some were conglomerated and then developed. A lot of these are in the Smith Farm Road, Whitewood, Diana, Sybil Street area, but that subdivision went all the way from the Post Road, basically, which was mostly Elias T. Main's farm, which is a house they tore down out that sat for years out in front of Orange Fence, and it went all the way up to the big colonial, kind of opposite Hall Drive, and up into the Sperry's property. That was Lewis Bradley's farm, and they combined all of that, and that's where they were going to build this Tyler City development 100-plus years ago. And so there's still some of these little slivers lingering around, and I'm probably one of the few who knows that silly history of way back when. Yes, Owen, I think you have something on it?
No, I just, this
Okay.
was before the board last month, and we went, I took it to planning and zoning. They approved it for a municipal improvement referral. So it comes back to you guys for final approval, and if you're so inclined, then the first selectman and I will get the proper documentation executed for the donation.
Okay, motion's made.
There's two motions that I think have to be put on the record. The first one would be move the Board of Selectmen approve the Town of Orange accept the donation of land located at 990 Orange Center Road, bearing map block lot unit number 89/2/5 from the Anita DeCibio Restated Survivors Trust as amended and restated on March 19th, 2019, with consideration of a waiver of the taxes owed or may be owed as part of the donation. That's the motion, first motion.
One. But make them both, since
All right,
it's
well,
written
all
as
right,
one,
All
yeah.
right. The second one is to move together then, that the Board of Selectmen approve that the Town of Orange accept the donation of land located on Diana Street, bearing map block lot unit number 43/5/12 from the estate of Irene Stahl, with consideration of a waiver of the taxes owed or may be owed as part of the donation.
Okay, so you've heard both of those. Motion to approve? Mitch already did, actually. He
Yep.
did it. Second's made. Any other questions? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Unanimous. Very good.
Thank you.
Okay. To consider and act on the request to approve the tax refunds totaling $1,481.44.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Let's see. Now we'll go to the public presentation for Ultimate is the public presentation, right?
Yeah. You want to?
Tell me what you want.
I would do
which one?
Flock first. There's, for the executive session, if needed, is for ultimate.
Okay.
Flock is not, so I would,
Gotcha.
we can take care of Flock now.
Okay, and would you like to
Well, the
explain
chief-
that one as you're handling it, or is the chief?
The chief
gonna-
is here.
Okay, chief?
Good evening, everyone.
I want to ask one more thing before you go, because now Mary Hurley's going to want to know which one she wants to speak to, maybe both. So could you just tell me, Ultimate is which one?
Traffic cameras,
All right. Flock is what?
license plate readers.
Okay, so Flock is license plate readers, Ultimate is the other camera ones. All right? Okay, speed cameras I call. Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
I just want to take a quick second here to publicly thank Lieutenant Dennis Anderson, who Jim mentioned retired today. Dennis, after 32 years, longer than 32 years of service, has every single day been the embodiment of professionalism and integrity. And he has been a loyal soldier and has done so much for our department, for the town of Orange, and we wish him well in his retirement. So I just wanted to say that publicly. Thank you. So, Flock, if you recall, this board several months ago, approved us to enter into an agreement with Flock for license plate readers. We already had some license plate readers in town from a different company called Recor. And so we entered into an agreement with Flock. It was signed off on by the first selectman. I discussed guardrails that we already had in place in the police department in our policy to make sure the data isn't misused and that we were following those guardrails. And subsequently, Post met and came out with a model policy, Police Officer Standards and Training Council. Most of that policy was already in place in our former policy with a couple of modifications. We modified our policy. The Connecticut legislature has come out with law regarding the LPRs and the guardrails that are very specific, obviously, to Connecticut. So as a result of those guardrails that the legislature put into place, Flock has added an addendum to the Connecticut departments that outline those agreements and those guardrails that Connecticut has put in place, and it's agreement that we have to sign along with Flock. As the first selectman signed the first agreement, he would have to sign the second addendum, so that's why this is before this board right now. And basically, again, it's just the guardrails that were put in place by the new law. And I'll go over them real quickly. They're not going to sell data. They're not going to transfer data to any third parties without our express authorization. They're not going to allow anyone other than us to access data unless we either authorize it or there is a warrant issued by a court or a court order. They will not share the data with anyone for purposes of suspected immigration violation investigations, for prosecuting anyone for seeking to receive reproductive health care or gender-affirming health care. They're not going to allow it to be used to investigate people for constitutionally protected activity, such as protests and the like. We will not be interfering with freedom of speech. And we will not be holding, they will not be holding the LPR data that is not in accordance with industry-recognized data security practices, including but not limited to using encryption when transmitting or storing such data. Simply put, they're going to be careful with it. They don't want to get hacked, and they are going to safeguard through their systems the data. So basically, these are things that we talked about several months ago, and I assured the board we have these things in place. And this is basically just Flock codifying what Connecticut has put into place. And this agreement went out to all of the police departments in Connecticut that are using Flock. Attorney Weaver did look at it. He made some modifications to the agreement that he wanted to see in there. Flock very quickly agreed to those modifications, and so they're waiting for a signature by us on this.
Just to give some comments, the chief did a very good job summarizing. It's Public Act 26-14 that requires this amendment. Any municipality entering into an LPR contract going after the effective date of this amendment has to have certain provisions in it, and that basically paragraphs 3, 4, 7, 8, and 9 all mirror the legislation. I had asked for an indemnification provision, paragraph 5, and which Flock agreed to, but the statute requires, again, paragraphs 3, 4, 7, and 9 be in any contract going forward. So this act came out after the town executed the agreement with Flock. Flock came back for the amendment, and it's because of Public Act 26-14.
Chief, just a quick question. So a lot of the concerns that I'm hearing from the residents, again, is privacy. And with these amendments that have been made and the guardrails that you believe are in place, you believe very strongly that our residents' privacy is protected?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Chief, quick question. The current contract we have with Flock goes to when?
Probably a year from the time it was signed. I believe it was signed in January, maybe?
Okay.
I'd have to go back and look at that.
So if there's any dissatisfaction, we've.
Oh, yeah, we can pull out at any time.
And after the contract itself is just a year?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Chief, with regard to sharing, say another municipality had a criminal activity and we thought the car came through our town, would they need a warrant to get that data, or could they call, our PD and get it in a more timely fashion, or how would any sharing go with another town?
They could actually access it right through the Flock system, and if they had questions from us, we would certainly talk to department. But right now, we are only sharing with Connecticut departments. We are not sharing with federal government. We are not sharing with out-of-state departments. Some of what you've seen on the news and what's been reported about sharing that shouldn't have happened, some of that was mistakes, quite honestly, by those departments that did not set their system up the right way and were sharing with out-of-state. We do not share with out-of-state. It's just Connecticut departments that are accessing our data. And we very, very thoroughly triple-check that to make sure.
Chief, to follow up on Judy's question there, are all the towns and cities in the state of Connecticut who currently have a contract with Flock, which I understand are quite a few, also entering into such amendments because of the state statute?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So if you, just to follow up what Judy was saying then, so if we're dealing with another town, the Flock is under the same restrictions with that town as they are with our town?
Correct.
Okay.
We are all following the same restrictions. They are the legislation is allowing us to share with certain states, but we haven't done that yet. But if we do share with another state, they have to enter into an agreement that they are going to abide by those Connecticut guardrails.
Mitch, I wanted to comment on your question. So when Flock initially approached the chief, they wanted an amendment that says, go see our website for the amended terms. So some municipalities will not have a document like the one you guys are looking at, which I think is personally crazy, but most
So, Owen, I appreciate that, but my question gets to the fact that if we're sharing, either vice versa, it doesn't matter which way the information goes, with another town, whether it's through their website, through state statute, or through the amendment, the same protections would, so, in other words, if Flock had information from the town of Orange, and the town of Branford, for instance, something happened up 95, was looking to chase somebody, now they have the same information, would they be under the same restrictions that we have? Now
Yeah.
that goes to Branford kind of thing.
Yeah,
So,
the statute applies to all. I
Okay.
just wanted to make it clear in case somebody went and go FOIA at other towns thinking they're going to get the same type of document.
Okay.
It's not necessarily the
I
case.
appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, Chief.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna. Yes, but you're gonna have to come up here. Questions, I'm gonna ask you if you first, Mary, because you've been champing at the bit here, so come on up.
Okay. Again, Mary Hurley, 1050 Garden Road, Orange. I'd just like to say that I'm speaking on behalf of myself and not any members of my family. I did do my research on Flock, not the other system, and I also read most of the OLR bill analysis, SHB 5449, an act concerning automated license plate reader systems. Is that the document that we've all been referring to in terms of the guardrails and restrictions on the systems?
Yeah, I believe that's the Public Act. I haven't memorized the House bill, but it's Public Act 26-14.
Okay, I don't know if I'm looking at the right one, but I read through it, and I still have some concerns that have not been addressed. And these are not hypotheticals. These have been based on actual events that have actually happened in jurisdictions that have had Flock systems, most of which have then removed Flock systems. First of which is misidentifications. Cameras have misidentified license plates, causing law enforcement to arrest people supposedly for driving stolen vehicles when they were in fact their own systems. Flock likes to tell everyone that we are so good. We can tell you not only the face of the person in the car, not only the bumper sticker on the car, we can even tell you what is hanging from their rearview mirror. Well, if that's the case, then how come they can't read a simple license plate? Are we being sold something that's not going to live up to what it promises?
Can I ask you a question, just as you're going through?
Sure.
Do you know where these incidents are happening?
I do not have the references with me. I'd be more than happy to email them to you.
The only reason I'm asking is I'm wondering if they were in Connecticut at least, or if
No, they were in other states.
Okay, because
I
we
did
do
not-
have a much different set of guidelines in Connecticut.
Okay,
that-
but
that
I think
Flock
these
has to adhere
are
to.
still issues that need to be addressed.
Absolutely.
Okay. Second is misuse, which of course, there are a lot of guardrails in place according to this. However, temptation is the fall of humanity. We are sinners. We are prone to temptation. There have been not only law enforcement individuals, but private employees of the Flock system, as well as hackers, who have used this information for flagrant abuse, such as 2 officers in Kansas City tracking ex-girlfriends and their new boyfriends for their own personal use. There has also been a documented history of Flock being used to track journalists, political opponents, and people unrelated to criminal investigations. Next, costs versus measurable benefit. Many cities using the Flock system have removed the Flock system because the communities noticed that the privacy and Fourth Amendment lawsuits by private citizens outweighed the money collected by the fines, but more importantly, there was no measurable benefit. No significant reduction in crime, no significant reduction in speeding. Are we being monitored by our own government and not even receiving a significant benefit? Next, erosion of community trust. Many communities have reported citizens losing trust in law enforcement due to the lack of public oversight and transparency, taxpayers seeing it as simply a money grab, and as most people caught by these cameras were not from other cities or states, but members of that town's own community, thus seen as an additional unneeded tax by the town. Next, unintended consequences. Drivers learn where the cameras are. They speed and then abruptly brake near the cameras, which has caused rear-end collisions and multiple car accidents. And as bad as it would be at 30 miles an hour in town, wait till the Flock system is going to be implemented on our highways when we're traveling at 70 and 80 miles an hour, let's admit it. But that's an aside. Okay, worst of all, the Flock system uses an algorithm method, which notices coincidences in travel to alert law enforcement that certain people or cars frequently traveling together may be potential suspects for things such as drug smuggling, human trafficking, or other crimes. Imagine if you always follow your mother to church on Sunday. That can be enough to trigger the Flock system algorithm to alert law enforcement that you are a potential perpetrator. The system literally looks for crimes where there are none. Conclusion, most communities who use the Flock system end up ripping it out, which wastes taxpayer dollars both implementing them and then tearing them down, as well as the infinite number of lawsuits that are generated from it. Let's stop this insane experiment in our community before it costs our community everything. Thank you. Any questions?
Nope.
Does he get to speak or?
Yeah, Frank's gonna speak next, and maybe the chief will have a wrap-up there on, yeah, I don't know.
No, I took this.
Okay, good. Okay, thanks. Well, Frank Esposito, 29 Andrew Lane. I couldn't top that if I wanted to. Nice presentation. We're not talking about red light cameras and those civil fines yet, correct? This is not the form. Okay.
Correct.
So, are you familiar with someone by the name of Josh Thomas from, Flock? He is the communication security officer of Flock. I sent an email, something off of Facebook that was sent to me. I sent it to Jim, I sent it to Mitch. I believe you both reviewed it, and I hope that they would share it. certainly with Owen and also Chief Gagné. So a situation in Colorado, a woman was picked up unflocked, accused of porch piracy. So in English, what is that? Trespassing and theft, okay? So she subsequently was arrested, okay? Doesn't go into whether or not it was via a warrant or whatever, okay? It turned out not to be her. And there was an interview, television interview, where they interviewed this gentleman, Josh Thompson, and I'm saying this for the protection of this board, because what they clearly said, they distanced themselves, that we don't police the police. Once the information is disseminated, it is owned by the town council, whatever you call yourselves, depending on where you are. And if something bad happens with that, it's on you folks, okay? So I think you should look at the video. He was very cryptic, very AI-esque. That's a new term I just kind of made up. No remorse, you know? He didn't say, you know, it was unfortunate circumstances for this person, and we're sorry, but again, we don't do anything with the information, but provided we don't police the police. But that's a little snippet, but again, and I know the chief could support me on this. It's been a while. I've been out 22 years, but I think I still remember a little bit. So a cop getting that investigation, you know, he's very rude, needs retraining, crude. I did an investigation. That's why I'm here 100%. You're 100% wrong, okay? But here's the problem. A thorough investigation, so correct me again, an arrest, you need probable cause, right? If you don't have it on speedy information, then you have to do a warrant, correct? Okay, so now, a thorough investigation is you took a laptop, I'm a good cop, gonna do my job, I want that laptop back. Don't have speedy information, I got probable cause. So, elements of probable cause, an arrest, that the person that you think did it, and the place that you think the object is where it is, correct? Okay, so, it's not on camera, but that person's home could have had a search done, and she had to prove her innocence. What if she was somebody's second-grade teacher or a bank manager? And, you know, I mean, this is disastrous. So in spite of all that's being talked about, I think it's a bunch of BS with the revenue, because you're setting yourself up for litigations. Even, again, I know we're not talking about it, but a $50 civil fine for a red light, if I'm twisted enough and I reach out to the chief and he thinks I might have a point and he calls you, and you're entitled to whatever you make, and you deserve it because you do a great job, but let's just say, I'll lowball it, let's say your fee's $300 an hour. He calls you for a $50 question on me. It's gonna cost the town $300 to defend my $50 claim. So please, research it for this board, that they're all protected, because this guy made it clear. And please, Jim, Mitch, please share that video with everybody here and the chief, so that he could see it. Clearly made it clear, it is not, they have nothing to do with policing the police. Once his office gets it, it's his. And I know he would, you know, do the right thing with it. Thank you.
Chief, you want to respond to some of this before it builds too deep? And then Mr. McGuire had his hand up back there.
Yeah, so there's quite a bit that got discussed here, and I'm respectful of everyone's opinions. And some of what you say is true, but you're also confusing license plate readers with traffic cameras. There is no revenue generated by license plate readers. The license plate readers are meant to prevent and to solve crimes. There is no revenue. So the revenue comes from the traffic cameras, which is completely different. You're right, Flock is not going to police the police. And there are police officers that do not act with integrity. We all know that. A lot of these incidents have occurred in other parts of the country. That's why the state of Connecticut looked at this long and hard and put those guardrails into place. Now, we live in one of the most liberal states in the country, yet our legislature saw fit to do this because it helps protect all of us. We're not trying to spy on anyone. We're using this to prevent and to solve crime, period. And the Connecticut Police Chiefs Association endorses it, and the legislature agreed that this is a good product to help protect all of us, not meant to spy on anyone. And yeah, there's going to be misuses. That's why guardrails are put into place. That's why in Connecticut, we have all those guardrails. That's why we have audits to check on what our personnel are doing. I've seen those articles where officers in departments in other parts of the country have used it to spy on ex-wives, to spy on girlfriends. There are people who act with integrity and those who do not in all professions. And no, they are not going to police the police. We are going to police the police. Not Flock. We will police our police. We've got very strong statutes in the state of Connecticut, not only in regards to Flock, but in regards to police accountability. I don't need Flock to police the Orange Police Department. That's not going to happen. I'm not sure. You guys talked about a lot of stuff. I think I addressed.
Stay down for now. Stay down for now. I'll give you another chance at some point. You good for coverage for the moment? Any questions for the chief? Go ahead.
Question, Chief. How long has the town of Orange had license plate readers?
A couple of years now.
2 years,
Right.
probably.
So this is
We
the-
started with Recor,
Right,
and then we entered into an agreement with Flock.
right.
In large part because Milford went to Flock, and the state police have gone to Flock. And we want to be able to share data with Milford and the state police. We work very closely with those departments. New Haven is on Recor, West Haven's on Recor, so we also have Recor.
Regardless of who we're with, I think it's important for people to understand we are not discussing tonight the addition of license plate readers for the first time.
Correct.
This has been something we've had in the town for some time, couple years. Well, what I find maybe of interest is that we haven't had some of the things that have been discussed as being concerns that we haven't seen, at least I haven't heard about, in this town. And yet, even without those problems that are being the concerns of the problems, we even going forward, now we're going to make it even stricter, which I think is wise. And I think to continue the contract we have with the amendments is a wise decision.
Has there been any sort of problems or challenges or anything that we're aware of, that you're aware of through the police department with the existing system?
With the existing system, no, we did get one FOI request on the Recor system that we complied with. We have not had any issues.
And has it been beneficial for something, events?
Yes. If you recall, we were transparent about this when we came before this board months ago and discussed the system and implementing it. We had already had Recor, and we discussed implementing Flock. And at that time, I think I gave you about a dozen cases that we solved crimes with our system. Animal cruelty cases, wanted persons, missing persons, most notably 2 separate sexual assaults that occurred in Orange that we made arrests on based on information we got from our license plate readers.
Okay.
It works.
Ryan, you had your hand up? Yeah, you have to come up here.
Ryan McGuire, 1014 Rainbow Trail. I'm the one that made the FOIA request about the Recor system. I kind of want to start by a little background of this. The last meeting that I was at where this was discussed was in December, and at that meeting, we also discussed the ALPR cameras, which are the automatic license plate reader cameras, and the red light infraction cameras. There was a lot of people excited about, wanting to implement the red light cameras because there's a lot of issues with speeding in our town. with that, it seems as if the momentum just carried through and no one even really understands what the ALPR cameras are. And I think it's initially introduced as, oh, it just, checks for stolen cars, it can do this, it can do that. As this network of cameras gets bigger and bigger, it's the same as the police being able to put a GPS in anyone's car and track them around. The more cameras you have, the more granularity of where they can see where you go. And, I'm not saying that it's like, the police are gonna do something bad with this, but the guardrails being put in place, they need to be thorough, and we need to go above and beyond, because it can be a tool for our police, but there needs to be really well-documented protocols for how we're gonna use it. The reason Flock is introducing all these things in Connecticut is because those are all things that they've done. Those things that they're, covering their you-know-what for is all things that they've done. They've tracked people to get abortions out of states. All of these things that they're addressing that's because there's things that they've done. This is not a good company. Recor, I don't know as much about them. There's not as much bad press about them, but Flock is a big data company. They can say, oh, we don't want to sell your information, but they want, it's all of these big companies that they want to collect the data, they want to see where you are. It's not necessarily our police department that is gonna do something wrong, but everyone we share it with is another access point. Say we share it with Guilford, and then Guilford gets a request from someone else, hey, did this come through your system? What's to stop Guilford from searching ours, unless they have the same policies put in place? And yes, Connecticut can have these great guidelines, but they're not gonna cover everything. I think that our protocols, I reviewed our protocol, I think it's lacking. The copy I had is unsigned. I think that even the information I saw in the logs is lacking. There's one that just says something about Kansas City. So at some point, Kansas City ran a search on our data, from Flock. And I get that we're trying to fix that now. And, we have to be very proactive to prevent accidentally sharing. But, it should be these companies, if they have our best interest in mind, it shouldn't be shared by default or accidentally easily, or it should be incredibly obvious to us what's being done. I don't like the ALPRs to begin with, but I can understand and appreciate after speaking with you about how it's a tool and how it's something you want. I just do not think this is the right company. And I know that these systems integrate with other systems. Flock is like an add-on. You can get a camera for something else, and then all of a sudden you can load Flock into it and connect it to everything. And it's just a bigger network, and I think it's a huge privacy violation. And you can search where people have went for, if you look at, there's a lot of Flock transparency portals that towns will put up. Milford had one, it's changed, it's gone on and off. I mean, just search Milford Flock, there's tons of articles. Milford's got 40 of these cameras. They have a drone that'll fly up and chase people's cars around and stuff. I don't know if anyone here has ever watched the show Black Mirror, but it feels dystopian and it feels like we're heading down a bad path. So I just really hope we take that into account if we're gonna go further down with this company, of doing some research before we make a decision to continue with them, because there are better companies than Flock.
Mr. Meeson, no, Frank, not yet. I'm letting other people that haven't spoken yet speak. Nope,
I don't know how deep you want to get in comments before any.
that's all right. He keeps going back and forth.
Fair enough. Good evening, Eric Meeson, 373 West River Road. I agree with some of the comments, most of the comments that were said. I understand what you're saying, Chief. Some of them are a little bit misaimed as far as the difference versus the license plate reading cameras versus the speed and traffic cameras. The speed and traffic cameras in Connecticut, with the way the Connecticut's laws are well defined. Their use case is small and the scope is narrow. The problem with a company like Flock is that their scope is functionally limitless, right? And the courts have repeatedly ruled that if police and enforcement want location data on citizens, many people will compare it to, oh, well, I have a smartphone in my pocket and it knows where I am all the time. But the problem is, smartphone data requires a warrant to go to with, pre-existing probable cause that this person is expected to, be accused of this crime. The Flock system provides a complete end run around that capability by providing this real-time license plate logging and tracking that is extending across, all sorts of places in our country. As was mentioned, Flock as a company, if it was just about, checking license plates, well, then why are Flock cameras appearing on trails and in national parks? And they're integrating with, people's IP cameras. You can, as a private customer, just pipe your data into Flock, and they're pulling all of this into their system. And this is very troubling because it is making an end run around the intent of the Fourth Amendment. It has not yet gone to court. It has not yet been tested as something that is actually in violation of the Fourth Amendment. I think that it's very clear that it's against the spirit of what was intended in the Fourth Amendment, but it has not yet been tested in courts as to whether or not that is a violation. But there's additional problems with, Flock as a company. As, you mentioned, Chief, that, Flock really cares about data security and they're going to use encryption and all that's great. Until you find out that the Flock cameras are running Android 8.0, and we're currently on Android 16, and Android 8 hasn't received security updates since 2021. So I don't know about you, but I wouldn't log into my bank on a phone that was running Android that hasn't gotten a security update in 5 years. So I don't understand why we expect this company to keep us safe and secure and properly quarantined and tracked when their cameras are running a software that hasn't gotten security updates from Google in 5 years, right? And as was also mentioned, right, there have been incidents where Flock employees have been found to have been utilizing these camera feeds for perhaps promotional purposes, perhaps something more nefarious. But despite Flock saying that employees do not have access to these systems, it was found in the logs that one of the Flock employees had been repeatedly viewing the cameras in the pool area of a gym, because the pool and the gym, which was a public gym, had opted in to the security promise that is streaming all of our data into the Flock ecosystem. And these were repeatedly accessed and repeatedly looked at in an area where people are swimming. And there was a security camera.
I appreciate your thoughts on that, but let's stick to where our topic is, which is the streets.
Fair.
Okay.
Then to one additional, right, is something that people should be aware of with these cameras is right now they are tracking your license plate, they're tracking the make, the model, any damage, any bumper stickers, any ability to see, although originally Flock said we're not looking at drivers, but they have since said, well, now we're looking at drivers, as well as any other identifying features on your car. But they're also just one software update away from incorporating a newly patented technology called Leonardo Signal Trace, which is a technology that was patented to create a digital footprint with the hardware that's already built into those cameras for the ability to see Bluetooth and Wi-Fi connections, which can create a digital footprint of your smartphone, your smartwatch, your AirTag that you have on your dog, and all of these things to be able to correlate your motion even if you're in a friend's car, right? And now we're starting to do these things where we're talking about these correlations where we have all this data, right, that you can then start to look for correlations, which can and has led to people who were innocent being harassed because the correlation is positive. And I should have brought some printouts because there's no service down here to even show a picture really. But if you ever want to look at the power of these correlative activities when left unrestrained, there's a wonderful website which you can find if you search for spurious correlations. And there's a guy who has just dumped a large data set of all sorts of things into a database to say what correlations are there. And you find things like it's absolutely amazing how well the birth rate in Connecticut tracks the divorce rate in California, year over year. Perfect match on the lines, right? Because when you have a large enough data set and you look for correlations instead of looking with a predetermined cause into a specific item, you can find correlations that may or may not be real and may or may not be spurious, which can cause real issues down the road.
Okay. Bob, then Frank, I'll give you an opportunity, and, oh, somebody new back there, all right.
Just want to address a couple of things before I forget them.
Well, that's why we put you in back
yeah.
and forth so that you can.
Yeah, so I respect everyone's opinions. Eric and I have different opinions on the value of the LPRs, but we've actually had some very, very good discussions here. And I appreciate what he has to offer. So I think Flock gets a bit of a black eye when, in fact, some of those issues are not Flock issues, but the police departments, they're doing a sloppy job, if you will. And Frank mentioned about some arrests that were made on, I believe, less than probable cause. That's poor police work. We don't do that here. We specifically have guardrails in place that we do not automatically assume, we're not going to arrest you for having a stolen car until we do an investigation. Basically, what Flock is doing, what any LPR is doing, whether it's Flock or RECOR, is providing an investigative lead to us or giving us a heads up, hey, a car just came into your town that is wanted in connection with a homicide that is stolen. We've all heard from our neighbors, experiences of cars being gone through at night in the wee hours of the morning, these stolen cars coming into town and wreaking havoc. This allows us an opportunity to, hey, this car just came into town and let's go look for it. Or it gives us an investigative lead after the fact. But again, all it is a heads up and an investigative lead. We are not acting on it and arresting people without doing an investigation. As far as Flock could tell you if there's a dent in the car, if there's a sticker on the car, yes, it can. And that actually helps us because often these cars are stolen or they don't have a license plate on them. So it's not reading a plate, but it is giving us a description of a vehicle that was involved in a crime. And we are actually working an active case right now, and we know that it's a stolen vehicle. We know that they've switched plates on the vehicle, and we actually have a sticker identified. And so that's a lead for us to go on. I can't discuss it any further than that because it's an open investigation, but that is the purpose of that. That's going to help us. And you can't conduct sloppy police work. And there's logs that have to be filled out by the officers. They have to put a case number down. They have to put down why they're accessing the system. And we have to audit that and make sure our people are doing the right thing. I can't hold any other police department accountable. Every chief is accountable for their own department and what their department is doing. But clearly what we have in Connecticut and what we all believe in privacy, we all believe in not misusing the system. I can't speak to what departments are doing in other parts of the country. And I can't enforce rules in the Branford Police Department or the Guilford Police Department. I enforce the rules in the Orange Police Department. And every chief is responsible to do that and required to do that based on the legislation that the state of Connecticut saw fit to put into place.
Wait,
Frank?
could I interject,
Oh,
please?
go
I
ahead.
got one too.
So I think we might have lost scope of this agenda item because Flock is already in. What we're looking to accomplish today, and this doesn't mean any of your comments are not important, they all are, and we're listening to them. But what this agenda item is doing is making sure that we adhere to the requirements set by the state, which I believe we already adhere to, right? So,
Yes.
just keep that in mind when we're speaking. This isn't about whether Flock's in or out. They're already in, and we're listening to you and your concerns. But what we're looking to accomplish today is to adhere to the state guidelines.
All right,
Thank you.
correct me just on that one. We have RECOR currently, you're looking to add flock. We don't have flock currently.
No, we do have-
flock.
we-
We have both.
We have flock.
Both.
And Recor.
Okay.
There's certain areas where we have identified we want to put flock, but we're still waiting for the permitting process from the
Okay.
state of Connecticut. But there are flock cameras
We
in
do
town.
have both now
Yes,
already.
yes.
Frank, you're next, and then this
Can I
man
go
down
real
and
quick?
back.
A couple questions for Bob. There's about 169 municipalities in Connecticut. About what percentage do you think have the license plate reading technology?
Offhand, I would not know, but I would say it's very high.
Okay. Because there's sort of a couple concepts here. We're trying to protect our residents in our town.
Correct.
Solve crimes and keep our residents safe. That's why I like the LPR. But now I hear concern about Fourth Amendment rights and protection there. It's another concept. So obviously they're here now and we use them. But the only line in the sand we can do is Orange. So they're in every other town probably that we drive through. So we can be concerned about our Fourth Amendment rights, but we can only control Orange, right? So if you drive in Milford or you drive in New Haven, you are subject to the LPRs that those municipalities are using.
Correct.
Okay.
Frank has another thought.
Just a quick point, and I don't mean to blindside Bob, because he hasn't seen the video, he's not aware of who Josh Thomas is. Again, it's clear, please share it with this entire board, particularly Owen, John, please all look at it, because my question for the chief, and you don't have to answer it now, but you've used the term guardrails, and I'm falling asleep and I'm thinking of all the beautiful guardrails Jim got installed around town, and then realize you're talking about
Thanks,
something
Frank.
else. But what, after seeing this video, and it's not fair to you to even try to answer it, watch the video, okay? What guardrails are in place to protect this board, and by protecting them, protecting us as taxpayers? Because there's no doubt this situation in Colorado's gonna result in litigation. There's gonna be a payout, okay? Taxpayers in
general
Colorado are gonna pay
insurance
for it,
covers
okay?
There is
And
emissions insurance.
we're gonna pay for it here. Judy brings out a good point. You're driving in New Haven, yeah, well, then that's New Haven's problem if they make a mistake and they get sued. This board, this town isn't paying for it. So I would request of you, you don't have to talk to me, you don't have to get back to me, it's them. I'm not afraid to come back here and speak. But please review it, give some thought to it, okay? Because this is the guy that is in charge of Flock. It could be Amcor, it could be anybody, but I'm sure it's the same posture. It's not our job to police the police. You've said it many times, okay? But mistakes do happen. You've made them in your career. Lord knows I've made them. Things happen. So please just look at it and give it some thought. Thank you.
No, gentlemen, all the way in back. Thank you for
How's it
being
going?
patient.
Oh, no problem.
Name and address for the record.
Matthew Cohn, I live at 582 Hawkins Road. Many of you guys have made some, what I consider to be excellent points tonight, so I'm not going to kind of rehash some of those, but I have just a couple other things I'd like to add. I think we've all probably gotten a letter in the mail once or twice that says that there's been like a data breach, right? I think we're probably all familiar with those. And so while I appreciate the efforts of anybody who's involved in, storing and maintaining this data, I personally just think that there's an issue that the data exists at all, right? I think that once that it does exist, the ability to truly protect it is really out of the control of any, individuals or organizations. I just don't think in 2026 you can truly say at any time that your data is actually protected. I think that's a concern. I also think that I really agree with Ryan that just this company is kind of a disaster. And I just think that technology moves so quickly nowadays that we don't fully understand like the ramifications of what we're doing when we adopt these things, right? I think we can all remember a time where your Facebook timeline was just a chronological, assembly of photos of your friends having a barbecue, hanging out. It wasn't like an algorithmically driven, rage machine, which feels like it can be at times today, right? think we're all probably familiar with that. And I just think that once the cameras are up, right, and once they're collecting this data and it exists, right, the cat's kind of out of the bag. And I find something, I just find it kind of a travesty personally, right, that there's just something that feels like morally and philosophically wrong about collecting the data of everybody, you know, location data basically, of everyday Americans as we kind of go through our daily lives. And I definitely appreciate and respect the fact that there are probably times that the collection of this data leads to, you know, the solving of certain crimes and stuff that may have gone unsolved otherwise. But there's just something about the fact that we're moving in this direction that just feels wrong, right? And I can appreciate that the cameras exist already, and maybe I may have missed those hearings, and you know, I'm just trying to get involved for the first time, basically. But you know, I don't know that we really know what we're doing here, right? I don't think that anybody really knows what we're doing when we adopted social media or any of these other things, right? And to put up cameras and basically track data that can expand into the future to include a whole host of other things that we can't probably even imagine at the moment, right? Just feels a little dangerous. And I just think we should take those things into consideration. So I just think that when we're looking at expanding this stuff or joining a network that can be accessed by towns that probably don't have the integrity that we have in our police department in Orange, that, you know, we're just opening a can of worms here that I personally feel is kind of a disaster, right? So I just urge the consideration of this concept when making decisions about, you know, whether we allow these cameras to proliferate like long into the future here. So, thank you.
Did you grow up on Hawkins Road?
Yes, sir.
You did? Okay.
Yep.
When you gave your name, I'm like, I drove that kid to school.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Okay.
All right.
No. No. This one, I think we've heard the thoughts and comments, and those of you I just said no to, you're gonna get round two on the next piece because it is very similar to round one. But I want to say a couple things that Ian and I were talking today, and some things that have occurred before and some after. And as this has progressed, I've given it a lot of thought and a lot of time thinking about things, and Ian brought some up today, and they go to things that man just said, that man had said, this young lady had said earlier. And you think about it, when they started doing the DNA swabbing in your mouth and you put it in a tube and you mailed it away and you were looking to connect with long-lost relatives that may be living next door or in Tallahassee or in Calabria, lo and behold, it happens. And there was data there, and all of a sudden, your data but your data is all over. It's not about your choice. They then use your data elsewhere, and that goes. Then you start putting in data and entering data into something more modern like Ancestry.com. That data flies all over the place after a while. Somebody who may have been adopted and the records were sealed 40 years ago. With changes in technology and all, as Mr. Meese said, stuff that hasn't been backed up and had new security done since 2008, there's possibility, I'm not a techie kind of person, but there's people who know how to enter that data far better than we realize. The original intent of those different data collections were your choice. You're right, Mary. But then that data is now sitting somewhere, and other people are gaining access to it. And this is thought that's been growing and growing in my head as this whole process has been moving forward. Today I was reading an article on the mayor of Seattle, who has security cameras all around the stadium and all for the World Cup. Now that the World Cup is done there and all, the security cameras and all are all shut off because of the hue and cry of the people in that region that were screaming about their privacy and all that goes on with that in Seattle, which has a tremendous amount of social need problems that you would think the cameras would be a good thing to have. And we're seeing this in other places now where the intent was over here, but we're getting problems that are far away from the original intent of what the purpose of that data collection was. And I've really sat at my desk a lot today, knowing that this meeting was coming tonight, because we're gonna open the door on the next one shortly, and thinking about it and giving it a lot of thought. One day, right before Christmas, I was ordering socks. In our family, sometimes socks is one of the things that people get, and I said something about, I think, Bombas socks. I was talking to Ann. Ann had never heard of Bombas socks. A couple of years ago. Her phone was sitting on her desk upstairs. Next thing, she started getting ads from Bombas socks. This device here, we're all guilty of it too. It's listening as I sit here and speak right now. And if you don't believe me, test that with somebody who doesn't get a certain item. Go and stand by them if you know their phone is there. Start talking about an item and see how long it takes before they start getting ads or something pops up on a social media site or something from that. This device here is listening all the time.
So I have to give out more of my information because you believe enough of my information is out there already. It doesn't make a difference.
I think I was speaking, so thank you.
And also, this is,
I'm not done.
Thank you, have a good night. So, so that's where my concern is at this point. That lady, I think, didn't understand what my point is, that we're very concerned with that data and the expansion of that data beyond what its original intent was. And obviously, listening to Eric speak, I mean, he has far more knowledge than I'll ever have. And it really makes you think about your future. But we're doing it to ourselves. So the question before the board tonight is, at what cost and at what value do you want to continue to do it or not to yourselves? So with that said, on this topic of, which was item number 6, is there a motion for item number 6 of the request to approve the amendment between the Flock Group and the Orange Police Department? Okay, there's a
And I think-
motion. Go ahead.
just to clarify, the agreement with Flock is already in place. What we are voting on today is to make sure that this already implemented agreement adheres to the state's regulatory requirements. Correct, Owen?
Correct.
Yeah, state statute.
Okay. So it makes it more stringent, but we're already adhering to it, but it still makes it more stringent.
Right.
That, to me, makes sense, and that's why I make a motion to accept.
Motion is made. Who seconded? Bill? Okay. All right. Any other discussion from the table? If
I would just reiterate what PJ said. Again, Flock is already in. We have multiple cameras that are in place in this town already. This agreement has already been signed. The intent behind this agreement is to add additional cameras with additional protections for the residents of this town. Your chief has stood up here publicly and professionally and said that he's confident that they will adhere to these rules. And, you know, at some point in time, ladies and gentlemen, we got to trust the people that we put in power. And, you know, I am an attorney. I agree with privacy. I understand it and I respect it. And I do think there needs to be checks and balances. But as Mr. Shanley said, we are just agreeing to the additional cameras and the additional protection in this. And that's what we're here for tonight. So I'm in for it. I'm in favor of it.
Okay, any others? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstained? There you go.
Just one quick comment. I forgot to mention that the data goes away after 21 days if it's not being used in a criminal investigation. So it's not held indefinitely.
All right.
Yeah. Don't go too far.
So now, item number, we're going back now to item number 3, which does not exist yet, and also opens up some very serious questions similar to what we've been discussing. And I just want to make it abundantly clear to those in the room and at home, this board and all of us are not against, in any way, shape, or form, the health, safety, welfare of the town of Orange. But this all definitely needs very serious consideration before it moves forward. Any of these issues, I'm just saying it now in between. So now we are up for item number 3, which is public presentation by I can never say this one right, Altumit, Inc., which is,
Jim, do you want me to explain the process that the board's going to follow before we get the presentation going?
why not?
Okay, so, just to give an overall summary for the public and those who may be watching, on March 14th, the town issued a request for a proposal for automated traffic enforcement safety device systems after the board adopted an ordinance to allow for such systems. The RFP called for an evaluation committee to initially evaluate the responses and make a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen. The RFP also provided that any selected respondents by the evaluation committee could be asked to present proposals to this board. 6 vendors responded. The evaluation committee met on June 16th. They did a great job. I thank them for their efforts. They considered the responses in executive session pursuant to General Statute 1-210B5, because among other things, the responses to the RFPs generally contained information regarding proprietary software for each vendor. After returning to public session, the committee voted to recommend one finalist who is here tonight to give a presentation. On the agenda, again, is the public presentation. There is also an executive session scheduled, which the board may or may not enter into at its discretion and vote. That is so, if there's any questions that concern the proprietary information in the response, those can be answered in executive session if any of those questions come up. But ultimately, the board has to decide whether or not it's going to accept the evaluation committee's recommendation in public after a public discussion on the proposal. So that's just, I wanted to give the procedure here for everyone.
Oh, and I just want to add, thank you for that summary, that it was a unanimous recommendation by the board to, for Altoona.
Can I just, clarification if I can, before we start? I realize that. I'm asking, actually, the questions, I think, for Owen, or maybe for Jim or PJ. The presentation we're about to hear is going to discuss red light cameras and speed cameras, or just one or the other?
Both.
Both, thank you.
I'm going over here.
Sorry, you have to move.
It's quite all right, for my knees to get up and move a little bit.
Did you bring popcorn?
I should have. Okay, good to go?
Good to go.
Okay. Tonight's presentation is really to familiarize everybody with Ultimate and who we are as a company. And I know that, I think, Owen, we're open to answering any questions at the end of the presentation. It's only about 12, 13 slides, should take no more than 10 minutes. So my name is Marty Plank. I'm the VP of Sales at Ultimate. We also have Kevin Halloran. He's our account manager in Connecticut. And then Jason Norton is our chief relationship officer. So I'm going to get right into it. Hopefully you like that logo. So
Ultimate, we've been in business for over 2 decades. Currently, Ultimate has been a leader in road traffic safety technology, which does include speed enforcement, red light enforcement, and school bus stop arm. Ultimate is the fastest growing automated traffic enforcement provider in the U.S. currently. We have over 85 programs. We've issued over 9 million citations. We're currently operating in 11 states and have over 800 traffic safety cameras live. This one's really important to us in Connecticut. It takes a lot of work behind the scenes to get this recognition, but Connecticut communities have chosen Ultimate to be their safety partner more than any other vendor, which is huge. So what you want to look for in a traffic safety partner, these are really key and really important to us. So I'm just going to read through these. Cost transparency. You want to ensure all base costs, including signage, police approval rates, power, infrastructure, postage, is included in your pricing, which is part of our RFP response. Termination fees. You want to verify that contracts do not include termination for convenience fees or other provisions that could create unexpected liabilities. We do not charge a termination fee if you decide to move on. Technology and data sourcing, which is always a hot topic. You want to confirm all technology complies with NDAA requirements, is not foreign controlled, and that violation processing is performed in-house within the U.S. With Ultimate, the data never leaves the U.S. All of our processing is done in-house in the United States. As far as a warning period, every camera is required to have a 30-day warning period to let the public get used to the cameras. Evaluate whether a vendor charges additional fees during the initial warning period or for required public notifications. We do not charge for the warning period. Local presence, this is really key. This is really important to us. You want to prioritize vendors with Connecticut-based account managers, technical staff, and local office or warehouse capacity to ensure responsive support and implementation. And then, of course, the Connecticut approval process. OSTA does a great job. They've done a great job with the state law. It's a big, long process that we go through, but you want to make sure that the vendor has a proven track record of making sure that they are able to get those approvals. Wrong way. So as far as program data safeguards, Ultimate will always adhere strictly to all data protections outlined in the Connecticut general statutes. Systems capture images only during violations, which is a civil penalty and at 10 over the posted speed limit. Legal drivers are never recorded or stored. The municipality retains full control of all records, which are protected from public disclosure. So the town owns that data, not Ultimate. So committed in Connecticut. So the Capital Region of Council of Governments put out an RFP a few years ago. It was highly contested. Ultimate was chosen as a pre-qualified vendor, one of 3 vendors that were pre-qualified. That was really a huge part of our success in Connecticut thus far. Like I said before, you want to have a vendor that is Connecticut-based. Kevin is our account manager in Connecticut. We also have Diego. He's a field technician in Stratford, and we also have an office and warehouse located in Connecticut. We are already serving communities in Connecticut. So let me look at these. New Britain, Fairfield, Milford, North Haven, West Haven, East Line, and the town of Durham are all current customers. So this is just a snapshot of what the process looks like. When you decide to move forward with a speed or red light program, this is the process. It takes a little bit of time. There is a traffic safety plan that you have to put together. So once an agreement's signed, we partner with the town of Orange on locations. And then Ultimate does site surveys, maps, system builds. And then during that time, we create the traffic safety plan for you. And then there is a public hearing on those locations. So any place that the town of Orange decides to enforce, there will be a public hearing to make sure that you know where those locations are going to be. And then once those are approved, we submit to OSTA. OSTA has up to 60 days once we submit to make edits or approve, okay? So, yep,
I
yep.
just want to ask you there, for those at home and in the audience, tell them what OSTA stands for.
Oh, God. That's,
State Traffic Administrator.
yeah. Sorry, it's like you're reading it, yeah. So it's really DOT too. I mean, that's, at the end of the day, they do a thorough review of that traffic safety plan. You have to, there's a lot of data that goes around, crash data, enforcement data, speed data, all that is part of that submission. While they're reviewing our submission, we create templates, we create a payment portal, we do all the training for police or the town staff, and then we start to do our system installations once we get approval. Once that's complete, we do a public information campaign, which I'll talk more about, and then we go into a warning period. Every single camera has a 30-day warning period. If you're caught speeding at 10 or over, you get a warning, not an actual citation. And then once that 30-day warning period's over, we go live, okay? And some of those customers you saw before, they're up and running and live, so. I won't go through every bullet point, but this kind of gives you an idea. All those bullet points are kind of what you were talking about as far as what we have to submit as part of Orange's traffic safety plan. The diagrams of our systems, the signage, everything. Before every camera, there's going to be 2 signs that tell you there's photo enforcement ahead. So you're going to have warnings. It's going to be on Waze, it's going to be on Google, it's going to be on all those platforms. So you'll have fair warning to know that there's a traffic camera there. The big thing about Ultimate is we assemble the permit package for you, with your help, of course. And then once that permit is approved, that's the asset for Orange to keep. We don't keep that. So this is just an overview of our technology. Some of these, obviously, you can't use in Connecticut. We have a handheld. There's portables. There's trailers. We have a solar pole. Solar pole might not work so well in Connecticut in the wintertime. School bus stop arm, and then red light, and your fixed pole system, which is speed enforcement. And all of our systems are designed, assembled, and serviced in the U.S. They're all in-house. The other big thing for us is when someone does get a citation, they will be able to go to an Orange site to pay that citation. They'll also be able to look at the evidence package, which is their vehicle, let's say running a red light or speeding. So they'll be able to take a look at that. Right on the site, there's a FAQ document that will answer a lot of questions about speed enforcement and red light. So the biggest piece to any program to be successful is public awareness. We want to be very transparent. We want the community to know where the cameras are, why they're there, why we chose those locations. We will team up with Orange, provide campaign assets, obviously media and event support. You can see Jason right there in the back. He's happy to get on camera with the chief. But we do a great job of letting the public know why we're doing this, and we see great results in our cameras. So just talking about how we earned our place in Connecticut as a vendor, obviously, we were pre-qualified by the Capital Region, and then New Britain actually chose us through that process, not an RFP process, but they went to the CROG. There were 3 vendors. We were chosen from that. Just like Orange, West Haven released an RFP. They actually had 13 vendors. I think it was mentioned tonight, maybe there were 6. There were 13 that bid on West Haven, and we won that award, so, which is a huge credit to our team. I can sit up here and talk about how great Ultimate is and the success we've had. You can kind of read, these are direct quotes, whether it's public safety officials, chiefs of police. These are programs that are in Florida, Virginia, all over the United States. I think you kind of look at this one right here. Suffolk, Virginia, the mayor, we did a speed study for them, and we had 30,000 violations in 1 month in a work zone. We were able to reduce that down to 1,000, and it shows the program works. They will tell you nobody speeds in that work zone anymore, and that's huge. You have workers right by the street. Just like when you have schools, you have kids getting dropped off, parents, so. So just kind of the last piece, why Ultimate? Ultimate was first to go live in Florida. We were also the first to go live in Virginia. Why is that important? Because we have experience putting programs together and getting results. Obviously, we're committed in Connecticut. Some key points, we're USA owned and operated. Everything we do is in the States. We have a no fee to terminate. We have over 20 years of experience. We do have a revenue guarantee for the town of Orange. Our program is 100% violator funded, so you'll never have a tax dollar pay for our systems. And then we're most chosen for a reason because the partnership we have with communities and then the results that we get is key. So that's all I have. I'm sure you'll have lots of questions.
Can I start?
Y'all want to come up?
Thank you for
Come on,
presentation.
Jason.
Thank you for the presentation.
You could
Appreciate
answer
it.
probably.
Question for you about the revenue. How does that work for you? How does it work for the town? And if it achieves its purpose, which is to reduce from 30,000 to 1,000 or even cut in half, how do you continue to make money?
Yeah, great question. So we do have a revenue guarantee, or as we can call it, cost neutrality. So if we ever got to a point where there were 0 violations in the town of Orange, we carry our balance over, and at the end of the contract, we dismiss that balance. You'll never pay a dime.
I don't think on Route 34 it will ever be 0.
No, I don't think it'll be 0, but obviously, what he's showing is in the beginning, and I'm not sure what the structure is about how much of a $75 fine, if that's what it is, how much you collect, how much the town gets. You haven't shared that with us yet, but whatever it is, obviously it's going to be very cost-heavy in the beginning, front-loaded, and then as time goes on, instead of like most businesses increase their revenue, it sounds like you're going to decrease your revenue.
So to address the question, the first fine is $50. If someone gets a subsequent fine, it's $75. That $50 we collect goes back to the town of Orange. We do charge a processing fee, though, to the violator.
And the intent is to help mitigate the traffic and speeding and all the violation problems, not create revenue.
That's exactly right. And
benefit.
we've seen incredible results in our live programs currently in Connecticut.
I also wanted to add,
Go ahead.
if an Orange police officer were to issue a citation for several different violations, Chief, I learned this, and I'm 54 years old, I thought I knew a couple things. Most, if not all of that money goes to the state general fund, and if we get any, it's very little.
Right. And how is this going to be subsidized to put these cameras in?
We take all the risk, we take all the cost.
Okay.
Yep. That's going to the point of the signage, the postage, the systems, everything.
There's 0 outlay from the town of Orange?
0.
Thank you.
And the length of time of the contract, it's a minimum of 3 years?
Minimum of 3 years, yep, that's right. That's per state,
Yeah, the DOT approval is for 3 years.
yeah.
Questions in the audience? I'm staying here because the camera's still on, the projector's still on, so I have to direct from the sideline if you want to come up. Yes.
Just a couple of thoughts. Just to very briefly mention, what you closed with, right? I think it's important for all of us to realize that technology moves fast, and the legal system and the law moves very slow, right? So I appreciate your insights, attorney, but, right, it's important to remember that, like, a lot of the legislation revolving around our digital lives was written in the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, which was passed by Congress in 1999 and has not yet been amended. And that is the law that's being used today to tell farmers that they can't fix their John Deere. That was written 27 years ago, before tractors had computers, right? The law moves slow, which is why we need to be careful and deliberate with what we do at hearings like this, because just because something is not written into the law and codified in such a way that it's a problem legally now, does not mean that it is going to have the intent that we wanted downstream. And just briefly, you know, to the phones. They do often listen. I don't have, you know, things like voice assistants in my home that I don't host. There are locally hosted options. I don't have voice assistants turned on my phone. I'm not gonna get an ad for those socks. But anyway, you know, as a.
Yeah,
You
really,
can,
here,
yeah,
help-
you can.
help me.
You know, as a point of kind of, you know, mentioning, you know, to your comment there, Mr. Goldblatt, like, as far as how the companies do this, this technology has gotten incredibly cheap. It's gotten incredibly cheap, right? You can get very competent, and obviously, there's different grades, because when you're moving into legally enforceable grades of things, there is a price tag. I work in an industry that has those price tags, I understand, right? But you can get, yeah, you can get this kind of equipment at bargain prices. You can get a camera that can read license plates if you spend time tuning it and getting it right for $250 on Amazon. You can get a radar sensor that's able to read the presence of you in the room to do occupancy sensing and not turn off the lights for $20, right? So the revenue stream does make sense. I am curious about your comment, right, that it's only violators that get tagged, which is something that's very important to me, right? And I think that that's a key distinction between a system like this, which I'm presuming is triggering based off of a radar or a LiDAR or something like that for an actual speed before it takes a picture, and a system like Flock, which is just taking a picture of everyone everywhere. I am curious about your system. What is, for example, like the viewing angle? How are those cameras set? Because one of the privacy concerns that also comes up with things with Flock is that, you know, I mean, if you drive around Milford and you look, there are some Flock cameras in residential areas. Those cameras are taking thousands of pictures of someone's house every day that are all sitting in that database. And I don't know if the people whose houses they're pointed at are aware that their house is on video all the time. That's weird. I don't think that should really be the way that it is. So I'm curious as to how your cameras are targeted and aimed for things like that.
Who's up?
So the cameras, what we want to do and what we try to do is get this as tight a field of view as possible, because we're trying to target it on the license and the make and the model.
Yep.
So.
Obviously, optical zoom is better than digital, so if you can
Exactly. So we're trying to tighten in as much as possible, because everything else around it does not matter to us. So we try to tighten those in, and you'll see, and you know, you can see violations and what they look like. You know, looking at somebody's house doesn't do us any good.
No, of course.
So you know, just by practice for our own selfishness, we try to tighten in that picture as much as possible.
Yeah, makes good sense. And then just
So I would just add, well, go ahead, Kevin, sorry. I was gonna add to that. We're different than LPRs.
Yes.
We're not active surveillance. We only enforce when we,
Yes.
when it triggers a violation.
You have to be a little
I'm
closer
sorry.
so the microphones can
I'm
hear you,
sorry.
but.
So we're not like LPRs. We're a lot different. Our systems only activate when a vehicle exceeds that threshold speed. So, as Jason was saying, that we focus on a zone of enforcement, which is a tight corridor on a lane. We only focus on the rear of the vehicle, okay? We only focus vehicles going away from the radar, not coming towards the radar. So we're not taking images of people's faces or anything that we really shouldn't be taking photos of. Could there be somebody riding by on a bicycle at a particular time?
Yes.
Absolutely. But our scope of the field of enforcement is very narrow. And we actually track particular lanes, the vehicles in the particular lanes, through that zone of enforcement to measure the speed.
And one follow-up question as well, for curiosity, is how do you handle red lights, right? Because I know that Milford has some red light cameras that they've already deployed, which are in locations that do have right turn on red as an available option in some of the lanes that are covered. And I think that everyone probably wants to understand, there's obviously various amounts of audacity to people's rolling stops, I will say, right? Which we all know that some people consider a right turn on red as a 10-mile-an-hour activity, which it very much should not be. But I do think that everyone would like to probably understand, like, is this something where we need to stop at the light and count to 10 Mississippi and then turn right on red before we're safe from getting a ticket? Or, you know, there's got to be, yeah, I'm curious as to, you know, what that sort of a idea is.
Sure. So know that there is a difference between no right on red and so if you have a sign that
If it's
says
no right on red, and,
but we don't enforce that.
okay.
Okay, so if it says no right on red and you stop for 10 seconds, 20 seconds, and you turn right on red, which is against the law because there's a sign that says no right on red, you follow me?
Yep.
We do not enforce that. That's not what we do. What a right turn on red enforces is not stopping before you turn right on red.
Yep.
Now, to that degree is up to him, not
Sure.
us.
Sure.
So if you use your discretion and it's 2:30 in the morning and they and there's nobody else out and they hit their brake lights and they're snailing through at 5 miles an hour, did they break the law? They did.
Sure.
They didn't stop before they turned right. Would you pull somebody over? That's his discretion, not the company's. So it can be set however it needs to be, or they just review it and use police discretion, slow roll on right turn.
Yep.
And then they throw it out. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh,
Thank you.
I will, you know, hedge my comments with, I already knew these answers. But I like to ask, well, no, so see, I like to ask this question because this is what, to me, and I think several other people, a law enforcement system should be. It tags people who have only made a violation and leaves everyone else entirely out of it. And I think that is an answer that I like to have in this meeting, that this sort of technology is available where only violators are tagged.
So-
You were going more than 10 over the limit. You went through a red light. These are violations which can be checked and enforced. These are not violations that are taking pictures of the guy's house across the street in a flock camera or seeing if, you know, you were in your grandma's car.
So exactly, when we say automated traffic enforcement devices, it's really far from automated.
Yes.
There's a lot of human intervention involved in this. It not only goes through a quality assurance process by trained reviewers, it goes to the police department, and it has to be reviewed by a police officer before a citation is issued. They are the final decision makers of whether or not the enforcement is taken. The difference between, and I'm sure that Chief Gagné could attest to this, and me being a previous chief, to have officers at locations all the time is not.
It's very expensive, and
Right, it's, so,
if
right.
100 people a day are going
Right.
through there.
The difference is that it's hit or miss if somebody, if Chief Gagné decides to put traffic enforcement on whatever road, Route 34, you know, that traffic enforcement has a lifespan, right? So it's, as soon as that officer leaves, about 20 or 30 minutes later, people are speeding again, right?
While that officer is actively writing a ticket, people are speeding because he's occupied.
Well, exactly.
We know how it works.
Exactly.
No, I understand. Yeah.
And the cameras provide a certain sense
Sure.
of certainty that people know that, hey, if I'm driving through that area, okay, and I'm speeding, I'm most likely gonna get a citation, right? So that's the huge difference. There is a lot of human interaction in these systems.
Yep. Thank you guys for the answers. I appreciate it.
Wait a minute, I gotta ask Eric a question now.
Good luck.
'Cause-
Now we're having fun.
No. You have been probably, in a good way, I know your intention is completely in a good way, critical of both of these systems, the flock
Yes.
system, which was discussed earlier.
Yep.
And now this. This system, you just made some comments, so
No.
I wanna know, before we get to the point where we're voting and all, what do you think of this system?
So-
I've asked Ryan McGuire the same thing.
I certainly don't love automated enforcement, right? I don't love removing the human element. I don't love the automated enforcement. I don't love the idea of the cameras watching. I don't think that that's necessarily a place we want to go. And I think that one of the problems is that as you install these systems, it becomes very easy to repurpose them and reuse them for other things, right? Once there's hardware in place, you can flip a software switch and you can make it do something that it didn't do when it was originally there. And that is an issue. With systems that are in place, like what is commonly used for red light cameras and speeding enforcement cameras, as we just talked about, right? They're limited in scope, they're limited in field of view, they're built to activate, only when a violation has actually occurred. And I understand that in all things, there is a certain amount of give and take, because there is a need to provide some level of enforcement that has proven to be very difficult to provide with entirely human means, right? There's too many cars on the road, interactions take too long, people don't pay attention. And I understand the need for and the desire for things like a automated, traffic speed camera. I've had incidents with accidents due to speeding myself, and I understand the need. I don't like automated enforcement, but you can't, if you're given a choice between one or the other, put up the speeding cameras, right? Because they have a clearly defined scope, they have a clearly defined view, they only target those who are already breaking the law. And as a result of the way the hardware is built and constructed and the way that the cameras are aimed, and the scope is more limited, the potential for future abuse with the flip of a switch is significantly minimized, which is good, right? With things like the flock systems, where you have what is just a, take your cell phone camera and hold it up and look at the wide field of view, and you've got that wide field of view on a 4K camera that's feeding into their AI tagging system that sees everything in frame all the time. That's a scope that's very easy to shift with a flip of a switch in software. And the other difference, which is again a limitation in scope, is that the idea of traffic enforcement cameras for moving violations is a very limited nature, where you are targeting the specific problem areas and you're putting in, okay, Route 34 has a speeding issue and people blowing through red lights, and we put a camera on Route 34. Okay, great, that's fine, right? The problem with a system like Flock, Milford has 50 of those things installed. Plus they're in the Lowe's parking lot and they're in other private parking lots, right? This is the difference of someone taking a picture of you while you're in the park, cute with your dog, and it's a candid photo, versus the paparazzi following you around everywhere you go and documenting that you got breakfast at Dunkin' Donuts this morning. And there's a difference, right? Because obviously some people would prefer that they don't appear in the background of a candid photo in the park. Some people would prefer that. Some people don't like that a street photographer took a picture of them and put it on Instagram.
But with this one, it's more
But
targeted.
this is more like you're out for a walk and the street photographer says, that guy's got an awesome hat, and takes a cool picture and puts it on his Instagram. It's a one photo in one place of a specific item, right? Whereas the scope of something like a Flock system in Milford, where there's 50 cameras all over town,
Yes.
is like having the paparazzi following you around all day. And there's a very different in the scope of enforcement. And I think one is more of an appropriate compromise to make than the other.
Okay, I got it.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Yes. I think you're enjoying this tonight. You came out for a block party and you never left.
I got up twice. Wow.
I missed block parties.
George Ekman, 365 Demarest Drive. By the way, I'm not a techie, so I can't figure any of this out. I do have concerns about Big Brother watching me. This sounds like a great system. I'd like to bring up a different kind of abuse. I call it an abuse, maybe you wouldn't. And I'll give you the example. When Old Tavern ends at
Woodruff Road.
Woodruff Road. So we got, let's see, Woodruff is a nice, like, wide boulevard. It has, you know, sidewalks on both sides. I travel the road all the time. Never seen a traffic accident there. Doesn't mean there aren't any. But there's a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. And people are getting caught all the time. I work for a company with 21 people. 5 people have been hit already, not including me, traveling no more than 37 miles an hour. Now, that road should be 35 miles an hour. But it's not, it's 25, and it feels to me like a money grab. And I think that's an abuse of power, an abuse by the powers that be in a town to set up what essentially is a toll road for people who don't know any better, that they're gonna catch them. You got Old Tavern right there, and it's a narrow road. It's got no sidewalks. It's got a wicked curve. It's got a couple of different intersecting streets, and it's 35 miles an hour. So why would you expect this nice straightaway, wide road with sidewalks to have a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit, except I want to make you pay for, for the use of my road. Now, I'm sure nobody here would ever have thoughts like that. But 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you're not here, I'm not here. Well, maybe they decide that, gee, it would be a good revenue-producing opportunity, or they're going to use it for something else. And I think that's a concern where there need to be more guardrails such that there isn't abuse. Now, I think the gentleman had mentioned that you can have a public forum to vote on where you're going to put these speed cameras. Not quite a quorum here for the town, but you could probably put 20 people that's paid to come in here, and they'd vote and say yes.
Oh, how you talk.
Oh, I didn't mean that. 20 committed citizens who fully believe that that's the right thing to do, and they would do that. But, I wonder why the situation is on Woodruff, because either somebody very influential happens to live there and decides that he doesn't want people going faster than 25 miles an hour and has twisted somebody's arm, or it is just a straight money grab.
So the city of Milford would have set that one at some point in time, and ours are sent by the traffic authority, which is part of the police department, the police commission, here in Orange.
Yeah, but we also need DOT approval.
Exactly, right.
Yes.
So that, we
Yes.
can't just put up
You can't just put 'em up.
cameras arbitrarily wherever we like. It's gonna be a very thorough process. You brought up a great point, because Woodruff is in my backyard. And,
Oh, you're the one that,
someone in my family might have gotten a violation warning on Woodruff.
Ready?
Yeah,
somebody in my family might have too.
but the money grab, everything you said are all very valid points. That is not our intent at all. And as a board, we don't have the authority to decide where these are going. Jim doesn't, Chief Gagnon doesn't. We have to get approval by the DOT that there's a need for a camera in that area.
So the DOT apparently approved Woodruff?
I can't explain, I
Yeah,
can't.
I'll just, the comprehensive safety plan has to have a public meeting. It is not a town meeting, though. The Board of Selectmen will vote on the public safety plan if the board chooses to continue. And then it goes up to DOT for DOT's review. That's the process.
Anyway, I do actually support these kind of cameras for high-traffic areas where there's a lot of speeding, where there are accidents, where people could be endangered. Beyond that, and you can't have enough, policemen there all the time to make sure that things are going well. It's a great device.
Part of my targets, and hopefully the board, as we go for our approvals in the police department, our biggest challenge where we've had bad accidents, deaths, repeat accidents is Route 34.
Yeah.
Whether it be Dogwood Road, Racebrook Road, Birchwood, Grassy Hill, Orange Center, repeat smash-ups, and, that's where I saw the kid get bumped on the scooter the other day.
Yeah.
Over the weekend. Those are my first choices for these cameras, is Route 34 at all those main intersections, because it's deadly, literally deadly.
I've seen a lot of crazy accidents on Route 1 too, so.
Some there, but some, like on Saturday, you can't move on Route 1, and sometimes on Sunday, so that's not as bad. At night is the problem, and then you hear those cars with those mufflers that go pop, pop, pop. I hope you can catch those son of a guns that wake me up at 3 o'clock in the morning. But those are our targets, those
Yeah.
main roads, not Demarest Drive or Old Tavern Road. Are the main roads that are really, we need to
Yeah.
curb it.
And by the way, just these are two different systems, so your system is taking has the camera and takes the picture, and it's not related to the license plate issue that we just talked
Different
about.
company,
Yeah.
different company.
Then the only concern there would be, well, gee, Santander just bought out Webster Bank, who's gonna buy you out tomorrow? And where are they from, China or, Russia? No idea. What do we do about that?
We're gonna see, we don't know.
We'd be concerned about it as well.
Anybody else? Ryan, yes, I said that you were also gonna speak.
I just have kind of a couple of questions for you guys. And I'm just curious of how this works, because I had Ryan McGuire, 1014 Rainbow Trail. I had a coworker that, I think they live in like Beacon Falls, and they got 6 tickets mailed to them, and they didn't get any of them before they all showed up at once, So she had, I don't know, however many hundreds of dollars in fines it was. And she said what she did is appealed them all, and was just enough of an annoyance that they all just got dismissed or something. But I'm just curious of like things like that. Like because people will appeal these, I assume. Like, how does that process work?
So Connecticut law is very specific on the reasons that you can appeal, and has very specific reasons why. And so it's, I think, 6 different reasons, and so you can check some of those. As far as getting the 6, at one time, which is not a good practice by any means, one of the great things about, Ultimate is that we're an American company, one of the very few American companies, but all of our processing is done right here in the United States. So we try to get those turned around as fast as possible. And, the police department, who will be in charge of their processing, will do the same. One of your Connecticut neighbors that's one of our clients, we just talked to the chief about as well, because there's 2 cameras somewhat close, like you could, you're in a town, so there is an option that you could go buy 2 different speed cameras, maybe on your trip home, right? And, adding a grace period into that. So like, okay, you get the one, do you deserve the second one? Yes, because you did break the law, but, this program's designed to modify behavior, not be punitive. So you can't put a grace period in that to help that situation, if that makes sense. I'll stay close.
Yeah, the other question I have is, there's been a lot of news reports you hear about like how much money has been raised for all these towns that have implemented this, and I think that's great. And I think the intention of the money that's supposed to go to the town is either for traffic enforcement or road improvement. I know at the meeting in December, the chief had mentioned, this may have to be, when we have a large amount of these tickets coming in, when we have to pay officers overtime, which I can understand when the volume of tickets is high. But I would also ask this board to put a plan forward of what we can do to improve the roads in town with this money. I know we have the new guardrails, and I'm kind of mixed on that, because I worry about pedestrian safety with some of those now, because now if the car's coming and going to hit you, there's nowhere to run. But
Well, remember, they went where there was already existing post and cable.
Okay.
There are no
Yeah.
new ones. They replaced post and cable.
Yeah, I used to run a lot, and just
What happened?
I stopped. I had
Chil-
kids. yeah.
children.
But like it's. I just want to know like transparency from the town of, what would we like to do with this? The road improvements. In one of the meetings we talked about Route 34 and that it's a state road and there's nothing we can do about it to fix it. But anyone that drives down 34 can tell that's a problem. I would love for the town to find a way for some of this money to go to fixing these problems at the root of the cause, which is an outdated design road, you know, it's like the
Well,
Merit, you know,
that's-
that's not designed for the vehicles we have today, and the intersections weren't laid out for the way that people drive, so.
I think that would be tens of millions of dollars. I would like to see if we do, the intent is not to continually expand the coffers with money from these fines. So what we get when we get it would be used for police needs and road improvements within the boundaries. I just had a discussion on road work with Mr. Foyer this morning, and I can give you something that's very similar. It's a sidebar from what we're on, but we just replaced the roof on the pool, the roof in the lobby area. It was about $300,000. That was paid for with the money we receive monthly from the 3% VIG, I call it, from the cannabis store on the Post Road. We don't spend that money, we saved it, and we use it for municipal, it has to be used for like fitness and these other municipal uses. So the 2 basketball courts and that roof were replaced with that cannabis money for that. So this would be a similar type of thing. The money that would be achieved from that, anybody who knows Mr. Cifarelli and myself, we direct that money to what it's allowed to be used for, and that's, would be the very same type of situation with this funding.
Yeah, I just, you know, you see, I don't know what the report, I forget what the numbers in all the reports from like Middletown, people were getting,
Well,
they have one going downhill, you know, and people are getting tagged like.
You're gonna get
every
big, you're
car.
gonna get big money initially, but it'll drop off. When the cannabis store opened, we started getting about 18,000 a month. It went up to, I think, 23, maybe 24,000 a month, and now it's declined back down to 17,000 a month, which is still fine, but the consumption has changed, and with that, and you'll see the same kind of thing with this. Whereas it goes high in the beginning, you're like, wow, we're making money here. But then it's gonna decline over time.
Yeah, you might see one of those spurious correlations between those two, the traffic and the cannabis
It's
sales
fun.
speed and everything, right?
It depends what time it is, probably.
But, yeah.
But anyhow, so that's how I can just explain the money part of it.
But, okay, yeah, but I mean, I appreciate the presentation, and I appreciate the transparency on this, and to your point about this versus Flock, what I really appreciate about this process is that the board put together a committee to review these proposals. It went out for bid for proposals, it was reviewed, and then this is being presented at this meeting. That goes a long way with this, and it makes it, I don't like these. I don't speed that much, honestly, truly, but, so I'm not really too concerned about getting
I've
tickets,
seen your
but.
truck.
Yeah, that's not, those dents aren't from me, that was the previous owner, you know that. Yeah, I just think that the transparency and all this out in front is
You're
good.
kind of a little better with this one than the other one.
Yeah, because we've gotten the chance to talk to them, you know, it's a smaller company, there's more competition in this market, and the companies, you know, when you have more competition, Flock is huge, it's everywhere. There's a lot of competition for you guys, like you said, 13 bids on West Haven, you know, so they're held honest by their peers as well as all these towns that they go into, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the representatives or from the audience? Yes, ma'am. You're already in the doghouse and he's sleeping on the couch.
My ticket was during the time when they were getting the warnings.
Oh.
I haven't been on the street since. Hi, my name's Barbara Ekman. I live at 365 Demarest Drive in Orange. My question is, what is the communication between your company and Flock? What do they have access to in your records? Anything? Is there a firewall there that they don't have access to?
I'd love to answer that. Absolutely none. They do not touch our data, they don't touch our cameras, they don't touch our power sources, they don't touch our poles, and like same. We have no access to their data, we don't know where the cameras are, don't care. There's none, absolutely.
And
There's
what
no
kind of
interaction.
what kind of protection do you have as a company from being bought out by a company like Flock?
Oh, I don't know that anybody has a protection of being bought off by somebody. You have protections that you can get out of your contract if, you know, if you're uncomfortable with another company buying our company and you're not happy with it, you can get out of your contract. No fee. Yes, ma'am.
Merger, purchase.
I agree with having these cameras, et cetera, but I also would look that you think about the places that you put them. For instance, with the example that my husband gave.
I know people are already talking about it down in Milford. They say there's an app, I don't have it, I probably better get it, on your phone, that you can get on your phone. Somebody said the name earlier.
Waze.
It'll be on Google and Waze when you come up to
that
school
will tell
zone,
you how to
come
do
up
it.
to a location, and you're actually required to do it. You as a city, the town in Connecticut are required to submit that to
No.
Google and Waze.
I just heard about it, I didn't know.
Because your old flip phone didn't have it.
Cameras are still on, John.
Oh, sorry.
All right, so there are no more questions for these gentlemen. What is the pleasure of this board?
Well, before a motion's made, my pleasure is that I don't think we've heard anything tonight, and Owen, correct me if I'm wrong, that would lead us to have to make any decision in executive session. So I would be very comfortable making a motion in public session at this time, but I want to make sure no one else feels differently.
I just have one more question for the vendor. There is a no fee to terminate option, so say after a year we weren't happy, do you take your hardware down?
Yes, we'll take it somewhere else.
Okay.
Yeah, but we had a company, that's a good question, because Mitch, remember that company was, back when we were young, we had that company that wanted to put those boxes up on some of the poles for some sort of a crazy Wi-Fi system. They were out of California. They started putting the boxes up. They were like My Favorite Martian with the two antennas sticking up on top of them even, and they went bankrupt. And those boxes, there may still be some of them around. They didn't take them down, and that was 20 years ago or more. So that's a good question, that do you take your equipment down?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously value to it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, with that said, is there a motion to be made? We're not going into executive session, there's no need found for that. We do have a couple other items for executive session.
Okay.
So is there a motion to be made on this Ultimate?
Yeah, I'd like to move the Board of Selectmen hereby authorizes the town to enter an agreement with Ultimate Incorporated, authorizes and directs the first selectman to negotiate final terms of and to execute and deliver such agreement on behalf of the town on terms substantially consistent with the request for proposal and Ultimate Incorporated's response thereto, for a term not to exceed 3 years from the date of the first automated traffic enforcement safety device becomes operational within the town, after Department of Transportation approval and subject to review and approval as to form by town council.
Come up for air.
Thank you, Owen.
Mitch came up with all that himself.
Yeah. Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All I'll say before we vote on this, with the flock system already existed in the town. This is something new. We had discussion about this a couple of years ago. Chief and I had talked about it, and this isn't something new. But I'm disappointed that the people who are going to think they're going to take credit for implementing this system in town didn't take the time tonight to come to the meeting and participate here. So when I read others trying to take credit for this, we'll all just remember who was here and who did speak on behalf of this proposal. With that said, all those in favor?
Jim, before you call vote on that, then, based on that comment, don't forget, we received a lot of emails.
Yep.
That also did provide us with some information well prior to this meeting that helped us with our thought process about the whole concept of red light cameras and speed cameras as well. So, I mean, it's
Yeah.
not like, I understand your concern, but I also
It's not a
feel that.
concern, it's a comment.
Well, I also feel that we've received a lot of comment from a lot of people.
Yes, we
on
did,
this,
and those
much
that-
more so than just appeared tonight.
Those
and I
that
think we'll
shall
take.
try to take credit
Thank you.
should have been in the room. Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Unanimous, done.
Thank you.
Gentlemen.
Thank you all.
Okay, so now we'll go to executive session items that, yeah, yeah. Anybody want to take a 3-minute break if they need to? This is your moment, go ahead. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to go into executive session to discuss a proposed MOU between the Town of Orange and the Orange Police Union, and a proposed settlement, Town of Orange versus CLSE Holdings. We are in.
So moved after a
And
3-minute
invite
break.
Dave Ryan, and we're in executive session at 9:35, it looks like. Okay, we are back in public session. We came out of executive session at 9:50. We discussed 2 items while in executive session. One was an MOU between the Town of Orange and the Orange Police Department regarding an MOU for the K-9 officer. The second one was between the Town of Orange and CLSE Properties Holdings 3 LLC, and an arrangement had been brought together on that. So is there a motion to be made on either item?
Sure. So I'll make a motion regarding the first item in executive session to approve the MOU between the Town of Orange and the Orange Police Union as discussed in executive session.
Okay, motion is made. Is there a second to that? There's a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Unanimous.
And while we're on it, as far as the second item discussed in executive session, I'd like to make a motion to approve the proposed settlement of the Orange versus the CLSE Holdings LLC settlement.
Second.
As proposed by council and the first selectman.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Unanimous. Any other business to come before this board? I know of none. Look at Judy. Judy's ready to go.